Cavalier faithful, welcome on in. I did not think I would be making a reaction video at 10:30 on Friday, May 24th, but I've been seeing clips all over social media from this Koby Altman press conference, end of the year press conference, however you want to slice it up. So I haven't seen the full thing. Usually I just watch this, whatever, put thoughts out, maybe make a video, put thoughts out over on X. We're just gonna watch it together, and I'll cut the best parts, what I think are the best parts together. But hit the like button, make sure you subscribe. Let's get into it.
Regarding JB's future here with us, we
right to JB, not even any open up to questions. A little spiel, then we'll get into it. Fair enough.
Open it up for questions now.
All right, going into questions. Let's. I'm curious to hear the questions. I saw some of them typed out, but I'm curious to hear how they were said, hear how Altman responds. All right, let's do it.
Koby, you mentioned last year to end the speculation at this time of JB getting fired on the heels of the next series. So what changed over the last year?
Love that whoever asked this question, this was great. This is good. The argument, so here's the thing. We have coaching preview videos coming out, still diving into the research there. Who we're going to interview, whatever may have you. The argument for firing him, the argument for firing JB last year is that you had good coaches on the market. I remember last year people saying, well, Nick Nurse, I don't know, kind of a one-time thing in Toronto. Mike Budenholzer, bounce around the league, whatever, unemployed, employed. This year, you have, I don't want to say you do have less experienced guys. Not that that's like bad all of a sudden off rip without diving into anything deeper than that, but you have just lower key names this year. Like you could have had Nick Nurse last year. Now he's on a Philadelphia, now he's with the Philadelphia 76ers, a rival in the East. So I know people said that was harsh. We went from play-in to the first round. It wasn't what the first round wanted, but the growth is there. Like, yeah, was there more of an argument to keep JB around last year than this year? Absolutely. But sometimes you have to do stuff in like sports and front office manner and organizationally that maybe seems premature or reactive, but you just have to be opportunistic. And when you wait until everything is on your terms, we're going to get rid of JB. We're going to, construct this rebuild like this. Okay, whatever. Sexton, Garland, Lowry with the three bigs, ship Lowry out, Donovan Mitchell. When you do everything on your timeline, that's a perfect world where stuff like that goes right. You got to be an adaptive creature to the timeline of the whole league and specifically the teams in your conference. But let's keep it moving.
So I'll say, again, tremendously difficult decision. Not going to go into sort of any shortcomings or negatives about JB. It's not something that he did specifically. I think for us,
first question is a non-answer so far. First question is a non-answer. If you forgot through my rant, the question was what changed from last year to this year to result in the firing. Complete non-answer here from Altman, which I get it. It's the media, man. I don't know.
At this point, have you gotten assurances from Donovan Mitchell that he's going to sign long-term with you guys?
How long are we going to make that question? One, we can't talk to Donovan.
Yeah, I will say he's super articulate. He's a general manager in a pro sports league. Obviously, he's a smart guy. I think it's funny when people are like, "Oh, well, JB knows a lot more about basketball than you. You think that it would be so easy being a general manager?" No, I don't. I'm not making the money they are, though. So I'm gonna sit over here on the sideline. That's the role I've chosen. They're in the position. JB was the coach. Altman is the general manager. Like, Why did he laugh though? He like, have you gotten assurances from Donovan Mitchell? Ha ha ha. That question was long. I didn't like that.
Now about the contract until July, I'll say that my exit interview with him was really good in that he was talking about the future and how excited he was about.
This is one of the quotes I saw on X. I could tell a lot of people this is their first go around with superstar talent signing or staying or leaving Cleveland because. And I'm not calling Donovan Mitchell a liar because there's a difference between lying and omitting the truth. But everybody says this, specifically in small market towns. And yes, you could say, well, what else is he going to say? Oh, no, this place isn't done, blah, blah. He's not going to tell the general manager that. At least a lot of people wouldn't. But I mean, come on, man, between LeBron, twice and Kyrie and just, there's infamous clips out there of Kyrie on the stage. The kid comes up. Are you going to be a Cavalier your whole life? And he's like, yes. I mean, come on, man. Like non-story for me that your exit interview was good. Like non-story
thing from his,
or this could be translated. Don told me to can his ass, or he's pissed. Allegedly.
He had a lot of influence in terms of.
Honestly, couldn't even hear the question because Kobe's like interrupting him, but allegedly about influence or how much, he's basically just asking what I said. Is Don, who's calling the shots? You or Don?
Of how much he helped us recruit free agents to be here.
Whoa. Okay. I think we've just had our big groundbreaking moment, almost over 8 minutes into this video. Oh, well, he was Don was a big help on who we brought in last summer. Well, where were they the last 4 weeks of the year? Where were they for 3 games of the Orlando series? And some people and some of them, where were they for all the 12 games? You play 7 games against Orlando. You get gentlemen swept by Boston. And yes, it is marginal progress. Don't get me wrong. But these free agent signings, Don was a big help in recruiting these guys. George Niang, because what? They were bench buddies in Utah? George Niang was unplayable. George Niang was getting looked over by JB down the bench for Marcus Morris. I'm glad Don brought him in. Okay, cool. Ty Jerome. He played 15 total minutes all year. Oh, well, as soon as we sign him, I see all the pictures. Don put something up. AAU buddies, picture of him and Ty Jerome playing AAU ball 20 years ago. I mean, wow, cool. Yeah, he was really influential bringing those free agents in. What about Damian Jones? Did he make a personalized phone call to Damian Jones? Hey, Damian, we're going to bring in. What is he? Is he dating a Kardashian? He called up Tristan. Max Strus, Max Strus is going to be we'll see about his acquisition when his contract, gets a little bit deeper. But I mean, you got 2 more years of Niang. You got at least 1 more year of Jerome, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Really? Wow. The free agents are just piling in.
How do you think that Donovan and Darius work together as well as you thought they would? Or
Here we go. Another banger question. Do you think DG and Don have worked as good as you thought they would? I like that. I actually enjoy that question because he's actually asking Koby about a retrospective on his perceptions. So it's another good question. We have some good questions here.
do you see an issue there?
I don't. I think
he doesn't.
That's overblown. I'll say this. I think there's way more.
That's overblown. He says overblown, kind of cuts himself off. That's overblown. Okay. That's kind of a harsh word.
Data that speaks to it works than doesn't. In the last 2 years combined, because they've been together for 2 years, there's a lot of data that we can look at, right?
That's the bothersome part to me. I thought if you were going to have growing pains, you would have had it last year. They got to figure out each other's play style. I know injuries have kind of played into both of their careers within the last 2 seasons, but that's what bothers me about the whole Don DG situation. I thought the first 40 games they played in season number 1 of being together, they would struggle. And then they didn't really. I mean, I think they played a lot better together year 1 than year 2. Especially in the well, nobody played good in the playoffs, but I mean, they just don't look good in the playoffs together. Is it a definitive no that it can't work? It can't work with 2 non-shooting. You got to get rid of one of the pairs. And I know it's the core 4, and they've done a good job marketing it, but you can't have 2 small guards and 2 non-shooting bigs. Like, there's plenty of data out there from this experiment. And there's predating evidence that the 3 big lineup actually worked. And it actually worked. And I mean, Ricky Rubio wasn't a tall guy either, but when there was a legitimate 1 on the court at all times, DG into Rubio, DG's all-star year, by the way, Ricky Rubio's, resurgence year, by the way, 39 in the Garden. Like, how many times did DG score 39 this year or more? I mean, come on. Ricky Rubio was literally tearing it up. Multiple all-stars. Allen's an all-star. Garland's an all-star. But Lowry was really the anchor of that team because he could play. He could give you so many physical looks, good rebounder, lanky defender. He wasn't a loaf. He was athletic for his size and could shoot. So your 3 could shoot. So when your 3 could shoot, and then who have been your 3s after that? Let's do a quick little case study. This is going to be a long video, but I'll cut it up. Who have been your 3s after that? Strus, Okoro, LeVert plays some of the 3. Compared to Lowry, I mean, that's all you need to know right there.
I think the other thing that we have to realize is that, this is just year 2 of this iteration of this team. And, taking the...
That's a lofty statement because you've had so much turnover, especially just this last year. I mean, your core. That's what I'm saying, man. I don't even think this dude looks past the starters. I mean, your whole bench is different from a year ago. And yeah, they were. I don't even know if they were marginally better in this year's playoffs. I just think Orlando was not as good as New York.
Zooming out a little bit, when you look at some of the most successful teams over the past decade that had real success in the playoffs, they've had a long run at this thing. Going back to Golden State, that's been together for 12 years, that core. Look at Milwaukee, that's been together almost 11 years. When you look at Giannis and Chris Middleton and their run together, right? That's 11 years. Boston, I want to say 7 years together, right? And they're still knocking at the door, right, for that championship. But that's...
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, and I understand his point, but post LeBron, it's been 7 years, bro, or six years. LeBron left it the second time when 2018, after the 2017-2018 season. It's 2024. So you're on a little bit of an you're down the runway a little bit. It's not like this is totally fresh because the Don trade was reset the clock, and then now the JB head coach is gonna change, is gonna reset the clock. Mobley you can't just reset the clock. Like it took you 6 seasons from LeBron leaving to win a playoff series, and it was a 7-game playoff series where we got outscored total. That's how he's naming like 2 players too: Jokic and Jamal Murray. Who else did he say? Chris Middleton and Giannis, 2 guys. He's not saying 4 guys because you can't keep guys around that long, especially when they want maxes. You think Mobley doesn't want a max? Mobley's going to his agent and saying, look, you guys gave Darius a max after his 3rd season. I am done with my 3rd season, and we have had more success my first 3 years than Darius's first 3 years. Straight to the bank. Easy. He's easily getting a max from somebody. And here's the thing. Technically, he's not wrong. There's a lot of runway left, but when you marry yourself to a superstar like Donovan Mitchell, you condense that runway a little bit. And I'm not saying inherently that's wrong or inherently that's correct. I'm just saying. Your runway with DG All-Star, Allen All-Star, Markkanen on a serviceable deal. You have a lot more runway with those three guys than Don on a max, DG on a max, Okoro's a restricted free agent, Mobley needs paid. Your bench is not looking very good. Your bench is overpaid and underperforming. So when you move for a superstar, that is where it has to be perfectly seamless in the timeline, because you accelerate that window. You know, this team is in a championship window.
But I feel like, listen, when Darius and Evan went down, it was really nice to have Donovan and Jarrett keep us at a really competitive level, right? Same thing.
Can they all play good together? Can they all play good at the same time? Is it possible? You are answering the wrong question. You are touting our depth for injury purposes. Can they all play good together? Tout our talent as a collective, not as, oh well, two are down, two are up. No, I'm not on board with that.
How high do you rate that you need to get an experienced head coach? I mean, for example, like when D-line, you had to make a change, John Quidd or whatever. You had JB there, and you had 2 trial runs to being a head coach, and there was immediate difference with that. So I just wondered, how do you, with this thing, like you said, there's high expectations for your team. So in terms of that profile of head coach,
Terry, it's an excellent question. I'd be lying to you if I said I've already dove into a list of people and criteria. We're going to take the weekend, decompress, come back Tuesday and really sit down with the staff and go over those questions. It's a
We have a head coaching vacancy, and this dude just said we're going to take the weekend off. Okay.
But I can answer you more next week in terms of criteria, experience, and starting to compile a list.
Don't ask me till next week. Long weekend.
Yeah, I don't see a big major sweeping changes. I just
This guy gives him a softball at the end too. If any opportunities arise, whatever he said. Softball. Well, we're always going to be looking for opportunities. So when you put it like that, you cannot rule out, making sure that we're doing our due diligence on all fronts. With that being said, we believe with the core that we believe in the core that we have here, as far as what we've built in the past couple of years. We need a new-minded, directed head coach offensively, blah, 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 different perspective, set of eyeballs. Go on with your life. Softball question.
You can't win 99 games over the regular season.
Don't care. Why are you citing regular season stats? Don't care. Cite the record after the All-Star break the last 2 years. Cite the playoff record. Cite the average points per game in playoff games. Cite the away record. Don't care about the regular season. Don't care. 4 seed 2 years in a row. Don't care.
Postseason basketball since he's been drafted. And to see him elevate Game 5 of Boston on the road and be the best player on the floor that night, leads me to believe we have so much more to grow with him. And so there's a lot.
Yeah, he gets so many touches for his growth. Literally needed Allen with a broken rib, Dean Wade coming off of a knee injury, Donovan Mitchell being out. Yeah, he needed all those things to happen to get, meaningful touches in a Game 5. Okay, he looks good. I don't disagree. If you ran him as the hub player, or if he was the number one option, I think he'd be really good. I think he'd be an all-star. He's the 4th option here, because you can't say in one breath, oh, Jared Allen was this for us all year. He was, but he can't be that for us all year, and Donovan can't be that for us all year, and DG can't be that for us all year. And we haven't even got to Evan Mobley in that equation. I got to give him respect. I would have done this seated. I can't believe he's standing for this whole thing.
Seeing the physicality of that series, of both series, really.
Turn your ringer off.
Is something that I think he's going to grow from. He had a tough year in terms of the injury. from
It's tough because when you're a general manager and you put a team together, a roster together, it's very tough to look introspectively and say, what doesn't work in this? What moves need to be made? It's very difficult to do that. I will say that, but this is a little startling. No big moves are coming. Getting a new head coach and running it back is one step up from running it back. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Oh my gosh, that was a lot. We'll digest it. We'll move forward. We'll see how truthful he's being. And with that all being said, we appreciate you being the pulse of it all.